We are already late in the version, so I think I'll just briefly start. Welcome, my name is Pecha. I am marketing manager in Dublin, and I'm actually new to walking. I've been a consultant for more than 20 years with sustainable mobility, but I'm more in the cycling community. I chair the cycling industry of Denmark, so I'm just so happy to be at my first Walk21 conference. And we have an amazing session lined up for you here because it's a Pecha Kuchas session. And that means that it's a very strict format. Now, our speakers have 20 slides, 20 seconds per slide that changes automatically. So bear with them. This is not always easy, but it's super fun and very energetic. So we'll just dive ourselves into it. And I would like to welcome our first speaker, Catherine Chu. Welcome to the stage. We will be talking about Gizmo, an everyday route planning tool for healthy mobility. The floor is yours. I'm starting.
Sorry, just 2 seconds.
Okay, so hello and welcome to my presentation. My name is Catherine Chu and I work at the Austrian Climate Initiative Walk21. And I'll give you an insight into our exciting project, the Everyday Route Planning Tool for Health and Mobility, now called GRP, not Gizmo anymore. So first I want to give you a few words about the initiative Walk21. Walk21 is the long-standing climate protection initiative from the Austrian Federal Ministry for climate action, environment, energy, mobility, innovation and technology, with the aim to further a mobility transition towards sustainable travel modes with a strong focus on walking and cycling. Our society faces challenges, we all know that. First and foremost, climate change. Established transport systems not only contribute heavily to climate change and are deeply dependent on fossil fuels, but they also bring numerous other problems such as air and noise pollution, affecting millions of people around the world. In Austria, around 30% of total national greenhouse gas emissions can be attributed to mobility and transport. Another challenge closely related to our transport system is physical inactivity. Physical inactivity has substantial effects on human health and it can lead to numerous diseases such as obesity, diabetes, coronary heart disease, certain cancers, but also depression and other chronic disorders. And it has been adopted global pandemic all the way back in 2012, but the number of insufficiently active people is still on the rise. Of course, not being mobile is not an option. We need to be mobile to have good lives. In Austria, there is quite a lot of potential. Around 40% of all car trips are less than 10 kilometers and could be replaced with active travel modes such as walking, cycling, and public transport. Trips that could save fuel, prevent CO2 emissions, and contribute to a more active lifestyle. However, mobility is largely based on routines, on how we learn through time to move around, especially during childhood. And once these routines are established, they become entrenched, so to speak, and it's very difficult to break up these deeply ingrained routines because people are just so used to them. They learn to move around and they stick to it. Awareness raising about climate change and CO2 emissions can only change those deeply ingrained routines if a direct correlation to one's own everyday life is achieved to make it understandable. So the question is, how do we do that? How do we establish this connection? And how do we nudge towards change? At Walk21, our solution is using personal individual health as a motivator to rethink how people choose to move around. Individual health is much more tangible. It applies to me, and I can even feel my health changing after a few weeks of being more active. It is much more immediate. It affects me every day. It affects my children, and it can motivate change. So that's the idea behind it. Another idea is big changes in life. For example, moving to a new city, starting a new job or education, that leads to new routes, or a child starting kindergarten or school, that leads to new routes for parents and child as well. And all these big changes in life need opportunities to rethink how people choose to move around because they need to learn all these new routes. And this is where our tool comes in. The Walk21 Gesundheitsroutenplaner in German, GRP, the Healthy Route Planning Tool for Everyday Mobility. The tool is being developed by a project partner from Salzburg, Graficom, and is based on the scientific project called GISMO, whose findings fuel the estimates. Furthermore, to ensure the validity and quality of the tool, it is being scientifically supported by the Paris-Lutheran University in Salzburg. The goal of the GRP is to inspire people to rethink how they move around using health as a motivator, to create win-win situations for climate and health, move away from car travel and adopt these new healthy mobility routines tailored to the individual route of the person using this tool, GRP. So very individualized approach. So here you can see a mock-up. It's a very straightforward tool. You just fill in start and destination of any regular route, like to your job or university, any regular route, without the need for registration, without user profiles. It's free, it's accessible to all people, and it's also got a responsive design, so it can be used on mobile phones as well. So there are different ways to be mobile, right? So we can take the car, we can also walk to a car, we can ride a bike, or we can use public transport in combination with walking. All these different routes entail different effects on CO2 emissions and our own health. And the GRP helps visualize these different route options and their effects. So as you can see in this design mock-up, it works pretty straightforward. You estimate your activity levels if you're not really that active or very active. And the tool immediately allows you to compare these different route options and the changes on CO2 emissions and your health with CO2 emissions, with the share of the recommended physical activity, and the risk reduction of certain diseases I've been talking about earlier. Then the tool will allow not only comparing the different modes, but also different options for combining modes, such as walking or cycling and public transport. And it visualizes, for example, the effect of riding a bike to a public transport station using something we call the healthy routing algorithm. To explain this a bit more in detail, let's take a look at this everyday route to work. You go to the bus, you get on the bus of the short bus journey, there's a walk of 4 minutes to your destination. It's 24 minutes of travel time and 7 of those are spent walking. Now what happens if you get off the bus station earlier? The whole journey will take you 27 minutes, so 3 minutes longer, but you almost double the time spent walking. The time spent walking is time spent on your health. And as seen in this design mock-ups, the different icons and colors really visualize these route options and very intuitively make you understand, okay, if I leave the bus station earlier, I will reduce my emissions by this much and I will have this amount of extra physical activity. Our communication strategy is to use information materials, folders, social medias, and using the big life-changing events that we were talking about earlier, such as the new job or education, which all come with new routes. And using communication and awareness raising during these life-changing events works, as seen in this case study. In the Klimaaktiv Mobil, we use a target group-specific communication approach for citizens and municipalities, for the general public, for tourism and businesses. So for the GRP, we're going to do the same. We're going to tailor our information material, for example, for the general public, the newcomers to a town, health practitioners, and the patients or young parents. We also want to encourage businesses to use the GRP. Our wish for the GRP is to become a staple of people moving to new cities, starting new jobs, educations, or just people curious about the mobility behavior, just checking in, to inspire people to rethink how they move around using health. The tool will be launched at the end of this year, free, accessible for all people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And we'll have questions at the end of all the presentation. So, and let's see, you are here. This is Jenny Luba. So from Austria, we are traveling to Switzerland, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm Jenny. I'm a project manager in an NGO called Swiss Pedestrian Mobility. Okay. I'm glad to tell you about this project called Exercise and Leben Encounter. It's about shared space in the neighborhood. Shared space brought better road safety, less noise, and other improvement, but we wanted to see if we can offer the population something more to use the space in the daily life. So we worked in 2 cities. This is Bern, and the other is Zurich. And because these two cities in Switzerland have already many shared space, more than 100. It's the blue dots on that slide. So we wanted to see what can we do so that people can benefit actively from their street in front of their door. This is the logo of the project. It's really about having more interaction between people, more people biking and walking, and a lively street. And it's part of a national program about the city of short distances. And we focused about children. It was just said in the plenary before, because small children have no other option to be without adults than very near from their home, as you see on this schema. So it's very important that just in front of their doorstep that they can go freely and play, and step for step go further away. So what we do and how we do that. We met the population in the street with the theater event. We asked them what you like and what you don't like, and they draw that on canvas. And this helped us to see where in the street we wanted to improve something. And for that, we worked with social workers, and it was very helpful because they know how to get in contact with local actors and neighbors. And we gathered all that stories on a map, and this was also made possible that you see what others say. So the conflict between different opinions met on this board. And we worked with small kids for the realization. As you see here, I think it was the first time for many children that they could use this big machine or paint a real floor for the whole summer. So this was a very good experience. It worked really well. And it was a pilot project this summer, 3 months, that we could make a new street design on existing shared space. We just changed the design of the street with 3 different methods: wood elements, wood furniture, painting on the street, and in one case also putting plants. And we wanted to do more about biodiversity and green spaces, but it appears to be very difficult and it didn't work. We wanted to depave the street, but because it's a surface where cars are still coming, it was a lot too much regulation and long process for us in Switzerland to depave. It's the same as it would be forever. So this is another project. We didn't do it. It was really too complicated. But nevertheless, we had some furniture that invites to conversation, like this kind of benches, and multi-usage furniture that kids used to jump and run and hide. And as soon as it was finished, they were using it in many ways. And I think now I show you the 2 streets in the 2 cities. Oh, we always had in the background the playable city. And for instance, someone had the idea to draw this pink line across the street, and children decided, oh, let's follow the line and let's walk on it like this and balance. So it really motivated them to find new games and new ways of moving. And now you see the 2 streets in the 2 cities. The first one is in Bern. So it was an existing shared space. It just looked like that. 2 kindergartens on the left side, a sidewalk. So not so inviting place. And then you see the result after the action. So for the 3 months this summer. And you will see the picture of the little party we had at the end because it was a common event of building it. So we broke this linearity of the street, and in this case, there was a big problem that cars were driving far too much, 20 kilometers per hour, far too much, but too much. And so this was a way to try to slow down the traffic. And the second city is in Zurich. And you will see it's a street next to a park. And at the beginning, it was a big question, what do you want to add some more place to sit next to a park, which is already inviting. But you see also car park and sidewalks. So you'll see on the next slide, it really improved the quality of the street. And now there is nobody anymore asking, why do you want to change something on that place? We just removed 6 spaces for cars to do this change. We are very lucky because it's a national program. We can afford scientific evaluation, and we had a survey in the neighborhood and observation on site. It's still ongoing, so I just show you 3 results of that. We count how many people are walking and biking. It's a pity, but at the moment, it's not more people walking and biking than before. There is a lot of people walking anyway, but not an improvement with the data I have now. Just in absolute number, less car in the city of Bern, in that street we worked on. The second evaluation point is we ask people what kind of activity they do in the street. And there you have before and after a lot, big increase in activities on the street space and a lot more interaction between people. Something is weird about the numbers, but just for you to know the shift. And the last evaluation point, it was the observation on site and put on a map what are people doing, sitting, playing, eating, etc. And this was the street. And before we came, it was really happening nothing, 0 on that street. And as you saw on the picture, now there are people playing chess, having a meeting, small kids, elderly, etc. What we want to share with you from all this pilot project is recommendation about how can you design a shared space for more appropriation, more use, existing one or new ones. And it will be on a guide on our website from next year on. And last but not least, what we learned from all of it is that when a place is usable, it gets used. It was possible to work with very small kids that did great things. And I just heard from 2 city managers, project managers, that for them it was really helpful to have this kind of challenge and on a temporary project because it's hard to implement, but it helps them to push and show where their difficulties are. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's always so fun to see those before and after pictures, but hopefully we'll have time for some questions later. Now we have our bird presentation, also by somebody in the room, and it's Abhimanyu Rakesh, and you are going to talk about the global design, safer neighborhoods emerging across the global south. So the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Abhimanyu Prakash. I'm the regional lead for Asia and Africa for the Global Designing Cities Initiative. And I think Lake Sagaris earlier spoke a great deal about why we need to talk about the Global South. And when we look at this WHO report, it shows that the number of fatalities, particularly for the vulnerable road users, is greatly concentrated across the Global South, that huge divide. And we know that over 90% of the fatalities are happening in the low and middle income countries, where the burden is much, much higher. And when we look at this map, we see that most of the countries in red, which is also in the Global South, do not have any speed limits in their urban areas. They don't have policies around that. And it is because of this that speeding is one of the greatest causes for the road safety burden that the world is facing today. Even the UN Action, Decade of Action, focuses on speeding. We know that speed kills and we need to change it, but it needs to be changed through a holistic approach, and it needs to be a combination of policy and design, right? One or the other alone will not be able to solve this problem. And what I'm going to be talking today about is about how street design is playing its role in shaping these safer environments, right? Many places in the Global South are attracted just by a big policy or by automated enforcement, but we need to tell them that it's important to redesign the street also to make it uncomfortable for the driver to be able to speed. And what we're talking about today is some of the works that's happening in the around the world that we at the Global Designing Cities Initiative are doing. And a lot of our work is actually based on these publications through the Global Street Design Guide, Designing the Streets. Sorry. No worries. And it is about taking pieces from paper to practice, right? We're working with these cities on helping shape policies, but at the same time showing low-hanging fruit, which can achieve things on the ground. 51, please. The one before. One more before this. Sorry, this was a project from the city of Fortaleza, a corridor, which is how the city started to approach by taking these arterials and reshaping them, and not just by using speed humps, right? But by using different modes of active mobility. They started adding a bike lane as a way to create a safer neighborhood. The city of Bogota is a city we've been working for the last 7 years, starting with an intersection-based approach, collecting the data, seeing that the people wanted it to become permanent. They started to move towards a corridor approach, right? The power of an intersection change helped them become bolder. And they worked over the years, starting with 10 kilometers, where the speed limit was brought down by 10 kilometers an hour. And by estimates, 46 lives were saved or fatal injuries and crashes avoided on this corridor. And all of this was done through a very, very holistic approach of approaching the street. And it is this success on intersections and corridors which gave them the confidence to grow and scale it up into a neighborhood level, almost like bringing the Barcelona superblock concept into the Latin American concept through Barrio Vitales in this neighborhood in San Felipe, where there was a group of small and big interventions taking a seamless approach across the neighborhood through diverters, smaller crossing distances, creating spaces for people to come together, and in turn lowering the speeds, making it safer for people of all ages and abilities. And it is learning from projects like this that even smaller cities like Fortaleza have been implementing a series of incremental approaches, right? So it's not always a big project, a massive investment. It can be lots of small interventions like curb extensions, refuge islands, which can help reshape and transform neighborhoods like this in Fortaleza, which not only made it safer for people, but it actually ended up revitalizing this entire neighborhood, this corridor. And again, a lot of pieces around tactical urbanism were applied by the teams to start testing out these bold ideas and get the city to invest more and more in these projects. And a big part of the work of creating these safe neighborhoods to convince the authorities is collecting the data. And by collecting the data over time, we saw that there was almost a 50% reduction in average car speeds through the neighborhood. This just increased the confidence of the community, of the parents, to see these projects become permanent. And Fortaleza has then gone ahead and launched a citywide program, right? It's the data, it's the cost, and the incremental approach which helped the city to scale it up and create a school zone program, invest large amounts of money, and channelize their public funds towards creating safer neighborhoods across the environment. And the last project that I wanted to show is from Addis Ababa in Ethiopia, where instead of looking at schools or high-income neighborhoods, they actually took up a social housing island with 4 large arterial corridors around, which had very, very high speed traffic, right? Again, from the morning session, noting that it is these inequalities which need to be addressed through projects like this. And with simple interventions of thermoplastic and bollards, the neighborhood started to see a shift. Crossing distances were reduced, the average speeds throughout these corridors were brought down, and the parents and the children felt much safer moving around. It is these social housing projects where 94% of the people are walking each day, right? And for them, creating these wide highway-like corridors was not really conducive to their everyday environment. So the safer neighborhood approach helped transform it, and not just one intersection or one corridor, but their entire vicinity. And we have the data, right? Once again, 100% support for permanent construction, 80% increase in people using new crosswalks, because many places they didn't even exist before, and 60% reduction in speeding above 30 kilometers an hour, right? So the whole idea is, how do you create spaces that are designed to reduce speeds? And with that, I come to a close to the Pecha Kucha, but at the same time, our team, our colleagues are working in the cities in Delhi, in Ecuador, in many other parts of the world to create safer neighborhoods, because that's a holistic approach, a scale-based approach, which people can learn from and share with the rest of their cities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And from the global south, we are coming back to Ireland, to Brian Gormley. You will also be speaking about how to reclaim the streets for people. Welcome, the floor is yours.
Okay, can I introduce myself first, and then we'll go back to that slide. So yeah, my name's Brian Gormley. I'm involved. I'm here representing a local community group that's close to the campus. We're called Connecting Cabra, and we're just campaigning for a more sustainable, more livable community. So I just wanted to share our experience now, and just to kind of put a human face on the issue first. With their permission, these are a photograph of my neighbours, Sheila and Owen. They've lived in Cabra for decades. They've raised their family there. Mikey is now a doctor in a local hospital. But in the last few years, they've had some significant health challenges, and they can no longer drive. And for them, the roads have now become a serious barrier to their quality of life. And for health reasons, they go to the local swimming pool, which is 500 yards away, to kind of swim. But to get there, they need to cross a massive junction. And that junction has 4 roads, 4 pedestrian crossings, on which the green man is available for 6 seconds. And for people who are mobility impaired, that's impossible to do in 6 seconds. So that has become a real barrier and affected the quality of their life. I would also say that in our local community, in my daughter's primary school, when she was in school, 2 children were killed in traffic accidents while she was there. They were knocked down locally. So for that reason, we formed Connecting Cabra to campaign for a more sustainable community. And we've only been in existence for 2 years. And we started off by working on community engagement. So we put out a survey to our neighbours and asking them how could we improve and enhance our community, and asked them for various suggestions. And they came back with a huge amount of suggestions. They talked about things like kind of blocked paths, narrow uneven paths, and dog poo. It came up a huge amount, sorry. The noise and the speed of traffic, unsafe road crossings. So there's lots of issues that came up. We also have a significant problem with cars parking on footpaths, which is becoming more significant now as adult children are living with their parents now because of the housing shortage in Ireland. No benches, no public spaces. So all these issues kind of came up, in the feedback from the community. So we put together a report. We made put some recommendations together, and we asked to meet with the local council, the city council, Dublin City Council. And to our surprise, they agreed. And so which for us as private citizens was a big step forward. And I have to say, in the 2 years that we've been working, we have had very strong support from all the local politicians. We've met every councillor, every member of parliament, every TD, senators and MEPs. They've been hardworking, supportive, good communicators, intelligent. They've been very good. So we put various recommendations to them around wider footpaths, more trees in the community, benches, traffic calming, public spaces. And we're continuing to work with them. It's a slow process, but we are working and engaging positively, and it's been very good. One of the things we realized is that to support our work, we were going to need good data. So one of the projects we worked on was we put in traffic monitoring. We put in 10 traffic monitoring sites around our community to identify black spots and traffic trends and so on, and that's working very well. More importantly, we worked on community engagement too, because a lot of these aren't popular suggestions with our community. removing parking and so on. So a lot of community engagement. One of the projects was distributing free fruit trees for people to plant in their gardens, and that started conversations about trees and the importance of biodiversity in our city centre location. We also had a Cabra Bike Day. We worked very hard, good support from the local council and the local police, and it was all about getting families and commuters to commute to school and college and work, and we had hundreds of people who engaged in that on the day. Again, it was a very positive day, and it created good conversations. We also do a lot of community engagement walks. So we did a biodiversity walk in the lovely campus. We're quite close to the campus here. And we also did a bat walk where 50 people came out, and at night we walked along the canal and looked for bats with a bat expert. And again, it's just generates connections and community and discussions about the importance of safe walking in the area. We've also done street parties where we've taken over streets to allow neighbours to meet with each other, eat with food is hugely important, we find, in our community engagement. Eat with each other and just have those conversations and realise that the streets are public property and don't belong to the cars. So that's been very good. We've also been lucky that we've been able to partner with TU Dublin, and the Masters in Sustainable Transport and Urban Regeneration did a great project on Cabra, where they looked at creating low traffic neighbourhoods and reclaiming our public spaces. And the recommendations were really dramatic. So we're working out how to share those. One of the spaces they looked at was the 17 shops in Cabra, which is the centre of our community. But if you can see, there's 3 lines of parking, and it's as a space, it's pretty horrible. So we're next weekend on Saturday. Now we are taking over some of those parking spaces and converting them into little parklets, so we can again have conversations with our local community about the need for benches for elderly people to sit on, for places for children to play, and for just places for people to meet and talk. And we think that's going to be interesting. So it's 2 years we've been working on it. I mean, it's been a joy because there's 20 of us in the group, but we're all kind of united with this shared passion, shared values, shared drive to enhance our community. But I would also say, I suppose we're not there yet, but we've good political support, we've good community engagement. The council have come back to us, and they now have recommendations from their design team that will allow us that support some of our recommendations. So some of our recommendations will be delivered. This is some of our team. Like I said, there's 20 of us, and we share that vision and drive. But in all of this, we are relying on research and case studies that are generated by areas like this. I would say that you are helping us with your work. You are helping us reclaim our freedom from cars in our community. You are freedom fighters, and I would really like to thank you for your work, and please keep at it. Okay, thank you.
So much. And now we have an online presentation. So Laura Nagels from Antwerp in Belgium. I hope you're there, Laura.
Yes.
Whoa.
1 second.
Can you say something again?
Yeah. There was a very loud echo. I don't know if it's okay now. Yeah, now I don't hear you. Okay. So hi guys, I'm calling in from Belgium, and I will just start with my presentation. I will share my screen now. So, hi everybody. It's very nice to present to you today. I will give a presentation of the work we did in Antwerp, a city of 500,000 inhabitants located at the Scheldt River in the northwest of Belgium. They are the results of a 4-year study, a research participation project that aims at constructing a policy on slow roads. Slow roads, what do we mean by that? It are all the paths, trails and shortcuts that are not accessible for cars and are all about walking and biking and in a city like Antwerp, they can take uncountable shapes and forms. It are everyday spots and trajectories whom we
Sorry,
rarely
Laura, your
contemplate on.
screen's not shared correctly. It's the wrong share.
Okay. Wait. So there's something wrong?
The screen that was shared was your Firefox screen. It wasn't your PowerPoint presentation.
Okay. Yeah, I can try again. I now closed, I will close everything else. So that's the only thing that's there. I will try again.
No problem.
It's very hard because I don't know what's happening. I only see the presentation. But I will try again, okay?
No problem.
Just please contact me if it's not okay.
Of course, no problem.
So, okay. Yeah. Of course, I'm now in the middle of my presentation. Okay. I will start again. Hi, everybody. So today I will give a presentation on the work we did in the city of Antwerp. It's a city of 500,000 inhabitants located at the Scheldt River in Belgium. They are the results of a 4-year study, a research participation project that aims at constructing a policy on slow roads.
Sorry, Laura, it's just showing an overview of your presentation. There should be something else. If you give me 2 seconds, I might be able to see if I have a presentation for you.
I said she just hits play. I said probably. Yeah.
I have her presentation here.
No, but it's literally so close. All she needs.
Yeah.
If you
yeah, fair.
I was in a technical test and it worked all fine, so I don't know what's happening.
If you press the little slideshow button down there, see on the bottom right where it has 100%?
Yes.
Me? Are you talking to me?
Yeah. Sorry, Laura, you.
Yeah, but I know. But if I press that, it immediately starts. Eh?
Yeah, so that's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but I do that. I now pressed it.
And it's not showing up.
You need to share a different window then.
It opens up as a different thing.
So it generates a different window. So you need to share.
Yeah.
So stop sharing. Share your whole desktop rather than share the particular window. Sorry.
I hear a lot of voices, but not clearly. Sorry.
Yeah. So if you press share your desktop rather than share a certain screen, we'll be able to see your presentation then.
It's because when you hit, sorry, Laura, when you hit play, it generates a different window, but that's not the window that Zoom shares. So it just shows the.
So I'll do just. I can choose full screen or tabla. Screen. So I will do the other thing.
Your full screen or full desktop, yeah. Can you hear me okay? Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thanks, Laura.
Now it should be okay?
Yeah. Happy days.
That's
fantastic.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Laura.
Hooray. So, as I said, it are the results of a study that aims at constructing a policy on slow roads in the city of Antwerp in Belgium. So slow roads, what do we exactly mean by that? It are all the paths, trails, shortcuts that are not accessible for cars. It's all about walking and biking. In a city like Antwerp, they can take uncountable shapes and forms. There are everyday spots and trajectories whom we rarely contemplate on. I'm Laura Nagels. I'm part of a non-profit, Trage Wegen, Slow Roads in English. We are a team of 12 people working on active mobility and slow roads in Flanders and Brussels. Together with the regional local landscape organization, we conducted this study for the city of Antwerp. The ambition of the slow roads vision is twofold. Working on an active city in which slow roads are the perfect instrument to get as much people moving as possible, And by doing so, also developing a city of experiences. Slow roads take you along extraordinary sites, hidden spots, and show you the city from a green, sheltered, yet surprising viewpoint. Along slow roads, chances for nature, biodiversity, health, safety, playing, meeting, and relaxing ascend. They touch upon all these policy themes and act as perfect vehicles to construct a joint story with policymakers, city administrations, and citizens. But above all, they are extraordinary. They form a real indulgence for pedestrians and bikers because they take you beyond the sidewalk, beyond the street. You can use them in multiple ways to pass by, to meet, or to rest and stay, recreational or functional. A couple of examples from Antwerp. With an important side note, especially in a city context, vision on slow roads also has to take into account slower roads. It are roads where cars can pass, but that are truly bike and walk friendly. The garden streets on the top left corner are a nice example of that. The goals of the study go together with the end results. There's a citywide policy vision that focuses on installing a slow roads reflex. There are the local reports with hands-on measures, and there are events to collect direct input and about going out and discover the city together. In 4 years, we went from an inventory of the existing slow roads towards a citywide manifest that goes back and forth with 14 local reports. Next steps are implementing this policy and developing the network on site together with everybody involved. It's very interesting to look at the inventory of slow roads that we made together with 60 volunteers. Results show that Antwerp has more than 600 kilometers of slow roads. That's a lot. There are oases, stepping stones, snippets, and solitary roads, but also quite some blind spots. The touchstones for strategies and actions we propose come from 6 characteristics of a good slow roads networks. It should be coherent, close-knit, multifunctional, multiscalar, flexible, and unlocked. To reach that, we use 6 transformation strategies. Communication and promotion of the network, the preservation of existing paths, the conversion of streets, the expansion of the network, equipment alongside slow roads, and contact management, where slow roads connect to streets. We introduce new spatial figures that put slow roads on the mental map of inhabitants and visitors. They give the network identity, a face, and make it easier to relate to in relation to day-to-day movement patterns. We develop trails, loops, and ribbons that operate on different scales, cater for various mobility needs, and celebrate the diversity of the network. The city trails we tested through group hikes. Last year, even with an overnight stay at a beautiful campsite. They are all about long-distance walking in your own city and aims to take the first step towards creating a real metropolitan trail. The local loops are about discovering your own neighborhood. It's unbelievable how many surprising and beautiful little nooks of city lie hidden within Antwerp. Sporting, walking the dog, taking a deserved break can all happen along those loops just around your corner. The ribbons are about pleasant day-to-day movements. They connect destinations within your neighborhood and propose another way of moving through the city in addition to the existing bike plans. Ribbons are about biking and walking in a pleasant, safe, and healthy way, full of experiences. An example is going from outside of the ring towards the city center. The advised route in Google Maps on the left takes you alongside a monotone traffic axis. The ribbon passes through neighborhood parks, a wonderful bike bridge, a local shopping streets, and car-free neighborhoods. So a totally different trajectory. So we came up with 37 citywide recommendations and more than 300 advices on concrete measures. They show how a connected slow road networks can help obtain a desired modal shift in traffic. Next, I will dwell on 2 examples of this. There's the shortcut map. It's a planning tool that makes it possible to work on the strengthening and expansion of the slow roads network by augmenting its close-knittedness in referring to the desired walkability of a neighborhood. We present this also during the poster session on Thursday. And then there's a citywide project called the Green District Route. It's a combination of local ribbons towards a trail connecting several districts. It brings different people with diverse goals together and helps focus investments for slow roads. So these were my slides. Thank you very much for listening. I will stop sharing now. Voila.
Sorry, she couldn't hear either.
Okay, thank you so much, Laura. Everything worked great. So we're back to an in-person presentation.
You're not next.
It just lost the sound.
Oh no.
From them. But her mic is off.
Are you on mute?
Oh, there's somebody going to present.
Are you on mute?
So I'm on the screen.
Yeah. So that's a good sign. So there's another live one. Pretty good they had so many live.
I completed a Master's in Art and Professional Practice in 2017. I can usually be found creating art and designing permanent walking trails. Examples of both you can see there. Today I'm discussing a recent project, Creative Wayfinding in Sudbury, a walking art audit of a market town in Sudbury in Suffolk. I use walking art as a research tool to engage communities actively in developing walking at their location. Baby District Council approached me having some potential funding to spend, and they wanted to find out what the town's needs were. With a number of existing walking trails, they had a few key questions.
What is that?
Was the existing infrastructure functioning well? Were visitors finding key tourism sites, and what did local people want? You can see some of their current trails there. So I designed and created the Walking Arts Research Project to answer these and other questions, and that process began with the branding. The colours were drawn from a painting by local artist Gainsborough and a simple Sharpie map of the area. Working with key partners, including the Town Council, Town Centre Manager, tourist information, key arts and tourism venues in the town, including Gainsborough House, that you can see here. And there's a comment by Charles Dickens on Sudbury, the town of Sudbury, and their council there. So my audit began with meetings during lockdown. These included walks with a local artist, Farrell Bright-Jones, Zoe Bamford, the arts and culture lead at Bayborough, and Mark Bills, the director of Gainsborough House. And I recorded all the walks as we did them. So you'll see top left, Mark and I just walked around the newly developed Gainsborough House. They're having a new area built. So yeah, got to go on the roof. Sending people out that have never visited the town to do blind testings. You'll see our testers at a badly fit sign, which is facing the wrong way on arrival. You actually arrive at the station on the left and the sign's facing away from you. So that's not very handy. And they were recorded on Strava as well. You can see from the graph here that they did in fact find all the key tourism sites, which was one of the main concerns of our partners. And we looked at what signage they saw and how they used that to navigate. You can see at the bottom left here, we've got a sign which I particularly like, which has got an arrow facing one way and a person facing the other. How anyone would use that to navigate, I don't know. The Sudbury project was developed to gather quantitative and qualitative data. Our long-form questionnaire gathered a huge amount, finding out what people enjoyed at the location and where there was room for improvement, and making suggestions for quick fixes. Community engagement took the form of a number of free events, including workshops led by commissioned artists, visitor testing walks, including accessibility testing, community research events, and an open day and exhibition. See here our top left, our green space workshop. Top right is our urban workshop with parkour. Bottom left, we've got a 3D workshop with families. And bottom right, we found a walk that had been developed and not launched, which was a 3D dinosaur tap walk. So we launched that as part of our open day as well. We built trust as a brand to gather people's thoughts and feedback about walking in their location whilst representing the local and district council. And you'll see here we had 12.2k engagement on one of our key posts. We also built an email database branching out from key partners to supporting groups, to artists, and then on to members of the public who supported the project. The digital platform and database forms a valuable asset which can be reused for future projects. So the project culminated in a final report which included 62 pages of content, questionnaire results, blind testing findings, community feedback, and suggestions for improvements. We offered a number of pre-packaged projects the council could move on immediately, plus suggestions on how to raise additional funding. We also flagged up some key areas for improvement from the research findings. So you can see from our marketing reach here, we went from 0 to 520 followers on social media in just 3 months. And we reached 10% of the 13,000 population of the town. Outcomes included some quick fix solutions, an outline for key tourism walk routes, potential walk projects for nearby towns, and obviously the database and social platforms for future use. I was told at the start that people would complain, but what I discovered was that what people want are simple solutions to their needs, and they're happy to get involved if you offer them a forum for engagement, not just a route for complaints. People do like to share their input on how the town could be improved, and you'll see benches was a key one that came up again and again, actually. So please visit my website, thepublicartcompany.co.uk, for other walking trail projects. And to learn more about how non-permanent trails can be a great benefit for research, community building, and for assessing a location. I also have a copy of the final report just to view here, and I have some leaflets and brochures over there, so please help yourself to those. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Now we have another online presentation, and that is from the US, Stuart Lindsay. You are going to speak about a shopping trolley project. Are you with us, Stu?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me? All right.
Yes.
Okay. Good morning from America. Thank you to all my colleagues. Got some feedback here. Let's see. Maybe that will work. Okay. Not an academic, which will be evident, but the project started from a question that Walk to Shop asked years ago looking for a presentation on how do you walk and carry things. And from that, we started a initiative called Walk to Shop, which is seeing whether we can get more people to walk more often for a purpose. So without further ado, we'll see if this works. Burlington, Vermont, cozy little city of 42,000, located less than 2 hours from Montreal. It's a walkable, bikeable, and very livable city. Like most places, though, people drive a short distance to the grocery store rather than walk. We want to change that. A few years ago, Walk21 asked, how do you walk and carry things? What a good question. How much? How big? How often? How far? How? I attended the Rotterdam conference hoping to find the answer, but I didn't find it at the conference. I discovered what I was looking for as I wandered the streets after hours. Transportation expert Todd Lippman has said the biggest transportation breakthrough in recent years has been rolling luggage. Is he right? We can't all afford Teslas. Is a robotic grocery carrier the answer? Where do you store it? Where do you charge it? What if everyone had one following them down the sidewalk? What could be simpler than using a shopping trolley to carry your groceries? Ernest Cullenbach's Green Triangle is a handy tool to generate ideas for personal and community change. The apexes are money, health, and the environment. Anytime you do something beneficial for one, you will automatically do something beneficial for the other two. When you use a shopping trolley, you get your daily exercise, you save money by not using your car, which is better for the environment. Everybody wins. We've wondered, why don't people walk to the grocery store? Because the groceries are just too heavy to carry home. A cart is a better and safer way to carry things. Studies confirm injuries to shoulders, hands, and wrists from carrying heavy loads, not to mention balance issues. Compare the difference in posture between the two shoppers. Do I need to say anything about the shopper in flip-flops? Many of you from Europe may be rolling your eyes and saying, of course people use a shopping trolley. Why wouldn't you? This slide is not about shopping trolleys, but count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 shopping trolleys in a random photo from Brussels. A normal scene in many parts of Europe, and not the case in North American cities, yet. We're encouraging more people to walk more often for purpose by offering a lightweight, high-quality shopping trolley at a greatly subsidized price. For the average cost of one electric vehicle, we can supply an active mobility option to almost 2,000 shoppers, and you don't have to plug them in. We purchased 20 trolleys to see if we could get people to walk to shop. This is our first demo day and our first customers. We have a shopping bag loaded with 20 pounds of groceries and a trolley with the same weight inside. We invite them to pick up the bag and then roll the trolley. They understand the benefits immediately. This map is one of our most effective tools. First, we located all the grocery stores in the community. Then we drew a circle representing 1,500 steps or about a 15-minute walk to the store. Everyone looks to see how close they are to shopping. It removed the perception that it's too far to walk. We started receiving positive feedback that the trolley was solving a lot of problems that shoppers have, whether they are transportation challenged or not. They could easily carry their groceries and laundry without using a vehicle or becoming fatigued. And when riding the bus, the trolley offered the perfect last-mile solution. While everyone was happy with our initial choice, we were frequently asked for a larger trolley. We now have 2 trolleys, one medium holding 40 liters and one large holding 50. We chose the bright lime color for high visibility and project recognition. Each has an inside pocket for valuables and coupons and an outside pouch for an umbrella and water bottle. We also knew for this to be a successful ongoing project, we would need a lot of trolleys. We took a deep breath and committed to a container of over 800 pieces. Then we patiently waited for them to arrive in the spring. A few times we wondered, what did we get ourselves into? But we have no regrets. Public pop-ups or demo days continue to be a great way to spread the word, raise public awareness, and receive valuable feedback. We demonstrate the trolley at farmers markets, local grocery stores, and senior living homes, as well as through Zoom presentations and workshops to targeted audiences. It wasn't long until we caught the attention of the Association of Africans living in Vermont. Transportation is a real issue for the ladies, both for grocery shopping and laundry. Their most frequent request? A bigger trolley and more of them. We're about to deliver up to 200 trolleys to the ladies of Winooski, thanks to a generous donation from a local corporation and city funding. We were invited to demonstrate the trolleys at the Right House, a nonprofit housing organization that supports Vermonters who choose to live independently. The residents are now using the trolleys for shopping, laundry, and carrying things, both by foot and on the bus. The trolley offers them mobility independence and food security. The red dot in the photo was a woman walking and shuffling 2 large plastic bags down the street. She'd set one bag down, walk ahead with the other, leave it, then walk back to pick up the first. This is in a rural Vermont community. We're partnering with their social grocery store so that she and 30 of her neighbors can now enjoy the independence of their own trolleys. Can the shopping trolley help solve the issues of borrowed shopping carts and retail theft? Every abandoned shopping cart represents a person who needed some way to carry their groceries. For the stores, trolley locks are one way to help reduce shoplifting incidents and keep the trolley secure while people shop. Think backpacks must be left at the counter. Thanks to good advice gleaned from Lloyd Wright's talk at Walk21, we're successfully raising funds and moving forward. We have received both small and large grants and donations from state and local agencies, nonprofits, and private corporations. We're teaming up with the Vermont Food Bank and the AALB to get more trolleys into the hands of people who need them. Meanwhile, the articles and interest in Walk to Shop continues to grow, locally, nationally, and internationally. More and more we hear, what a great program. How can we be involved? We are being approached by organizations that recognize the value of the humble shopping trolley in helping to solve their shoppers' transportation needs. To date, we have placed hundreds of shopping trolleys in communities across Vermont, with hundreds more to go. Can we achieve our goal to make Vermont the state that walks to shop? We're committed to making Walk to Shop as transparent as possible and the concept easily transferable. Stay tuned. For more information, contact us at walktoshop.org. Did that work?
Yes. Yes, it worked. Thank you very much.
Thank you
for that presentation. We now have the last one that I believe is a video.
Yeah.
Will you be?
Can you do the full screen, please?
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
2 seconds.
Oh, it's a. I was told to do silent or with words and for silence. I hope you enjoy it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And any questions? Okay.
In New York.
Thank you. Okay, sorry for that. We have a lot of speakers in the room, and then we still have Laura, and we have Stuart online. So maybe we have time for some questions. I believe the lunch is moved also, that everything was moved, or are you all just dying to get out of here and get to lunch? Because we did have 90 minutes. We spent an hour. So
I'll check.
yeah. So, but I think maybe if you speakers.
I saved. I have 15 minutes at least.
Yeah. So if the speakers would come up here, maybe, and we could have some questions. It's not easy. Thank you again for your presentations. Are there any questions for our speakers that you were thinking about during the presentations? And do we have some online also?
There's no questions online.
Okay, so we take them here from the room.
I've got a question. Can we have a brief overview of what your video was about?
So you didn't understand. Well,
kind of, but.
So yeah, basically we developed a platform called Neighborhood Intelligence Platform, but we basically just focused it on two things, which is walkability and the availability of lifestyle essentials. And when we talk about walkability, it's the experience of walking, like going from point A to B. You might want to walk where there are trees or there are more shops. So we actually scored the sidewalks using open data and graphic information systems. And we scored them like has a score of 3 or high if it has 50% more coverage on vegetation. And then if it has a score of 1 if it has no vegetation. So that's how we map the whole all of New York City. And so that's the experience of walking, which is a corridor sense of what you see while you're walking. And the other one is the availability of lifestyle essentials, because millennials they love walkable neighborhoods. So you want to get out and make sure you have your coffee, your drugstore, and all that. So we define what you will find within a 5-minute walk, a 10-minute or a 20-minute walk. And then you can also compare addresses so that if you're looking for a place in the city, you might think that Williamsburg is great, but there's one section where you still have to walk 20 minutes to get to where all the shops are. So that allows you to give a sense of what's around you. And so you're not just confined by decisions about the confines of your apartment or your property, but your world extends outside the walls of your home. So it's about I mean, to me, I don't know if you know Jane Jacobs. She's the visionary, and she just tells her narrative about what's important in the cities. And this is more like operationalizing her vision. Like, because we have data, we have the technology, so let's make it work for everything. Yeah.
Great. Super. No, but you can stay. More questions. Yeah. You had a question, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I wasn't sure if it was as temporary, like for the summer months.
Yeah. True.
Yeah. So is there anything to plan for the winter? Because I wonder how you do that for the winter.
No, and it's a pity because for the people who were involved, it's very frustrating that they help and then we take everything away. Because it was a pilot, it makes sense, we try and monitor, and that's over. And the biggest reason why it was only 3 months is because we could remove the car spaces for 3 months maximum. Otherwise, you go to other processes that are more complicated and where people will be against, or risk that they would be against. So that's no good reason, but that's the reason. Yeah. But the big conclusion of all what we did is that it's too short for many, many reasons, and I just encourage you to don't do so short pilot, but really try to get, or that you bring it back next spring or something like that.
That was for Jenny as well, because you said that the numbers of people
didn't increase.
didn't really increase.
Yeah.
Do you think that's to do with the fact that it was too short, or are there any other reasons? Are you still monitoring?
We have to finish the analysis. The only data that I have, it's not more people walking and biking afterwards, lamentably. But maybe also 3 months is too short to make a change in your habits. I don't know. We of course we wanted to prove that it's better, and it's not.
But is numbers of walking and cycling, was that your key kind of KPI? Because you said that there were more people lingering and there were nobody before. So that in itself must prove some kind of success. And I was thinking another KPI could be satisfaction with your neighborhood and feeling safe. But are you are numbers the main?
No, it's not the main. It's one of them, and we. If you want to have more people walking generally, we wanted to monitor that. I mean, in this number, it's not, but I think it's not a bad result. I mean, it's a success in general, the project, but this indicator didn't show something better. A bit lower speed, but not more people biking.
Okay. I have a question for Sarah, just about your survey. So you said there were about 10% of the population talking survey. Was that like, did you reach out to people via social media, or like did you kind of knock on doors?
We used multiple ways of reaching people, and that's kind of the point of the project, that we would use social media, which was brilliant. One of our key kind of ways into the community is local mums groups. Don't underestimate them. They will share with all their other mums and their friends, and things get around. And but yeah, we used the art project, so we did the walks and had people come on them. And so we gathered information not only from the questionnaire, but just through speaking to people as well, because not everybody wants. It was quite a long questionnaire, and not everybody wanted to fill it in, to be fair, because it was quite long. But yeah, we used every opportunity to interact and to gather data. So there's a wide-ranging kind of base for that data, and if you have a little look at the report, you'll see, yeah, there was a lot of statistics. It really is the simple things like benches on the way into town if you've got accessibility issues or you're elderly and there just wasn't enough for people. And it was just those really simple things. Dog food did come up, actually. It seems to be a theme. But yeah, people want a nice environment to live in, don't they? And if they feel that they can have a route to the council, and I was trying to be a kind of neutral intermediary, because obviously if they know you're working with the council, they do tend to kind of want to tell you all their problems, and I wanted to get really positive input from them, and I think we did that. I was really lucky that we got a lot of positive suggestions as well.
We just got a question in there.
Yeah.
Would Dublin or other parts of the world view the shopping trolley as a good engagement tool from Debs?
Yeah, that must be for you, Stuart.
Good. I didn't catch the question. No. Afraid I can't hear you.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Perfect. So Deb just typed in, would Dublin or other parts of the world view the shopping trolley as a good engagement tool?
Well, that would be a question for our European and world audience. I would hope so. We were interviewed by the Dublin Inquirer, and they viewed the shopping trolley as something that wasn't in common use, whereas so much of Western Europe and Eastern, it's a. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, good. The would view it as just a common everyday tool to increase their personal mobility.
Yeah.
Can I? And Stuart, that's very interesting. Sorry, this is Brian from Dublin. We took a holiday in New York and we invested in the shopping trolley. We kind of really and I used it in Dublin. And I got laughed at by my friends because then I looked like an old man walking around. And I think it's actually a status issue in Dublin with having a shopping trolley. It's perceived as something that, like I think, elderly people and poor people use. So I think there is actually a status issue with that we need to get over ourselves. But big damage trolleys. Yeah.
Couldn't hear the response.
Groceries? Everyone has these. But it's true, like the rich people wouldn't go because they would go home. Now you take in that trolley in the car and then you put it because it must be in way. Yeah.
Denmark, it's more seniors that have them. It's more an age thing that, yeah.
You can
I think what we're trying to do.
The way to and on the way back. I didn't put my door.
Okay.
I have a question for you. You said you were surprised that the authority wanted to talk with, was open to talk with you.
Oh yeah.
So, what was the argument? How do you think you convinced them? Like, why did they suddenly were interested? Like, do you know what was the reason?
I mean, I think we took a very professional approach. We were very active on social media. I think they could see that we were gaining a lot of following in the local community. So in the end, it was the Minister for Finance. He was quite a senior person in government. He reached out to us. He brought the local councillor. He said he'd meet us. We met for a coffee on the campus here, and he said, we'll get you into the local council and you can talk, you can give a presentation. So yeah, I think it was the fact that we had got we had a following in the local community and they saw that we weren't just a bunch of cranks, that there was people who were supporting us, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, Catherine. I didn't quite understand from the presentation how your route app is different from, for instance, Google Maps or other route maps.
Well, Google Maps doesn't really show you the effects that you get on your health. This app really shows what regular routes using public transport and walking, for example, does for your health in terms of risk reduction. So if I walk this route every day, my risks of, let's say, colon cancer get reduced by a certain amount. So that's really nice to see black and white. And also this healthy routing algorithm that I've been talking about is something a bit more special because it includes the combination of, let's say, taking the bike to a public transport station or adding extra or taking off extra stations off a public transport so you walk a bit more or cycle a bit more. It's not something.
So this session is being recorded.
Great. Thank you.
I have a question. It's very big global project that you're so interesting. Just about in Addis Ababa, you were saying that like 94% of people are walking, but the roads are like so wide, like such little car traffic. So like, would there be any kind of potential projects in the future to have that more of a pedestrian space, or like limit the cars and the speed in those areas?
That's a great question, and it's something we've been asking the city authorities for a while. I think the shift is happening. It's not as drastic as we would all like it to be, but I think there is an acknowledgement, right? And there is an acknowledgement that they don't want to motorize at the rate as many other parts of the world have done. They currently have a low motorization rate of just about 3%, but how do we keep it at that, right? And that's the big question that they're asking. But the big challenge which is happening is they're not being able to invest as much in public transport, right? And given that it is a pretty big city, just walking alone isn't going to solve it for them. The climate doesn't make it very easy to cycle all through the year. although they are making an effort. So I think it needs to be a consolidated approach between walking, cycling, and transit, and they're figuring that out. But there is an acknowledgement of the fact that they need to address this.
So basically, those huge roads are accommodating 3% of traffic.
So what's happened actually, the neighborhood that I picked to show is actually on the outskirts of the city, and all the social housing, so people who are being relocated, the lower income groups are being moved to social housing in these parts. And all these streets have been created to be extra wide for traffic in the future. 20 years later, right? The medians are 3 lanes wide because one day we're going to build a BRT there. But the people living there today have to cross almost 11 lanes of traffic to get to their neighbor across the street, right? And that's the thing. It's planning for a very different kind of future. And this is a big piece where the difference between the national government and the local government comes in, because a lot of these peripheral roads are being designed by the national government with a certain mindset, while the local government, who we have been interacting with more, are starting to acknowledge that there is a problem, right? And that's why they're being able to support and test our projects.
Hopefully that space is being redistributed to something else, so that never happens what is okay.
Yeah, so guys, quick point and then a question. I was in a workshop with Stefan yesterday, and we're all really worried about how to get engagement for walking projects, and it was kind of a slight cycling versus walking, and that cycling seems to be very easy to get engagement, but it seems to be really hard to get engagement about walking. So like all of these presentations today were just amazing to see how much engagement there was. It's amazing. My specific question, sorry, that was just a kind of comment. Thanks very much for all the great presentations. But Jenny, I was just really taken by the depth of it, of engagement for each of those particular projects. What engagement led up to the choosing particular sites in the city? And I was just kind of curious, like how that came around, or what were the criteria? Was there a kind of a competition, or some sort of request from loads of different areas, and to go with the community that was most on board, or like what led to that? Yeah.
We had spatial criteria and social criteria. We wanted children. We wanted a place that is not perfect, but it's not too bad, because we knew we cannot save everything in 3 months with nobody on site. So, but one conclusion, we choose the two places top down, and it was a mistake. And my colleague from the social work, they say I would never go somewhere where nobody asked me to go. In the one street, we knew that neighbors were annoyed because the cars were a bit too fast, and they didn't let the kids, and so they were asking the city for an improvement. So that was a reason. And the other street, it's a long story.
Okay, so I didn't mean to scratch me. Sorry.
It's a long story. We were thrown away from the original place from one guy that. So it was an emergency, and we went somewhere where we knew the population is open because it's lively, and because it's lively, they told us like, "What are you doing here? It's lively already." So it's for the science. We wanted to test a few things, to show a few things, and it works well, but it doesn't really make totally sense for the whole city that we are in this place. I mean, it's not where they need it the most. It's not like socially poor area or something like it. But you see, people use it, so there was a need to use it. So I think we can justify that. It was still okay. But the whole process, why is it there, is not perfect.
And from what you've learned, what would you advise to cities, like hypothetically, one like where we're now about ways of choosing locations for interventions?
A lot more dialogue with neighborhood centers to feel where people would say, yeah, let's go and we do it, and it's our street, like at this feeling. But I also wanted to create that feeling like it's our street when it's not existing, that feeling, but probably this project is too short. And a big aspect that we didn't have, that we just understood ongoing, is that you need animation, you need someone like a face like this, always there, like regularly, and you say, "Oh, this is Jenny, and we meet again and do something." And we didn't plan that, and we had not the budget because we didn't plan, and so
You did a lot as well.
Yeah.
Thanks so
Good.
much.
I just have one really quick question.
Yeah, quick.
Just for Brian, did the business owners get involved in the project just for like the tree carrying? Another huge thing of like,
Yeah.
we like to have cars outside, they can nip in and they're not there.
It's a really because we've got the political support, we've got the community's support. You know, not completely, but you know, we've got a lot of people behind us. We haven't really engaged with businesses, and there's no business group in the area, which has been a factor in Blackrock and other areas that have been successful. But we have consulted with businesses that were taking over their parking spaces. As it happens, the parking spaces are not being used by customers. They're actually people who are working in the shops who are parking there.
Yeah, that's yeah, and actually business owners always underestimate how many people are walking and cycling to their shops. When you start counting, you can show them that they're usually very wrong. It's so biased what they think that everybody comes to the car.
Yeah.
So no more.
Shops, nobody drives.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So,
What if they could?
exactly. Thank you so much. And also the ones online. Thank you, Stuart. Thank you, Laura.